Today we're flipping the Donkeys concept on its head. Instead of picking the weakest link on each album, we're going positive and choosing the best song from every Deep Purple studio album. Hi again. Before we dive in, I just want to say thanks to everyone who watched the Donkeys video and left comments. I love that we can disagree, argue, and still remain the best looking Deep Purple fans on YouTube. Seriously, I checked. The algorithm confirmed it. There's no mistake. A couple ground rules, same as last time. This is my opinion. You won't agree with all of it, and that's great. Let me know your favorites in the comments. So the first album was Shades of Deep Purple, released in 1968. Starting with the debut, I'm going with Hush. Yeah, it's a cover, but it's the song that put Deep Purple on the map. That organ-driven sound, Rod Evans' vocals, it's pure 1960s rock energy. It might not represent where the band ended up, but it's a fantastic snapshot of where they started. The next album was Book of Taliesin, also released in 1968. But Anthem is the highlight. It's the first moment where the band dips into those orchestral tendencies that John Lord would later blow into a full symphonic career. It's grand, melodic, and has that late 60s melancholy that Purple did so well. The next album, the self-titled album, the third, in 1969. April is an epic, ambitious, we're a band, but we've also got a secret composer kind of piece. It drifts from somber to pastoral to heavy. It's the culmination of the Mark I experiment. This is the moment that shows what they could do. And it also shows why the band had to evolve into something much heavier. In Rock was released in 1970. I mean, yeah, what else could it be? Child in Time is one of the defining tracks of the band's entire history, not just the album. Gillan's performance alone could power a small village. The tension, the dynamic build, Blackmore solo, this is Deep Purple becoming Deep Purple. And that said, Flight of the Rat is right behind it for me. If you told me that was your favorite, I wouldn't argue. I'd just nod respectfully and turn up the volume. Fireball was the next album, released in 1971. If Child in Time is an emotional peak for the band, Fools is almost a philosophical one. It's one of Gillan's best lyric sets, and one of the most underrated tracks in the catalog. I mean, it's not really underrated, but it is kind of a deep cut. This is the sound of a band stretching creatively and succeeding. I just love the atmosphere of this. Machine Head was released in 1972. I know it's obvious. But sometimes the obvious choice is obvious because it's perfect. Highway Star is the complete package. The groove, the solos, the interplay, the lyrics about a car that somehow feel mythic. This is Deep Purple's engine room. Who Do We Think We Are was released in 1973. For me, Mary Long is the standout. Sharp lyrics, great groove, and that classic Mark II bite. It's one of the few moments on the album where the tension between the band members helps the music instead of weighing it down. But Our Lady is very close. That spacey vibe is unlike anything else in the catalog. And another thing that jumps out on that is John Lord's organ work and Blackmore's guitar. I love his rhythm playing on that. In any case, this seems to be a good time to acknowledge my mistake in the Donkeys video. I made an offhand comment about Gillan not liking Painted Horse. Over the years, I had incorrectly inferred that he had disliked it and purposefully sang it that way, knowing the others would dislike that performance. In fact, Gillan is quoted as saying he quite liked what he did. So therefore I have to assume he liked the song as well, because why else would you? Burn? 1974. Burn is the signature piece of Mark III. Fiery, dramatic, fast, almost theatrical, and Coverdale and Hughes absolutely tear it up. It's one of the most effective album openers of the 70s. Honestly, it might just be the best song Coverdale and Hughes recorded during their tenure with the band. Stormbringer was released in 1974. Stormbringer is a monster of a title track. Ritchie in full dramatic mode, David in full preacher mode, and Glenn smoothing out the edges. And Pace doing the footwork that would make a horse jealous. Whatever that means. It's heavy, cinematic. That said, John did have a point about those lyrics. 1975's Come Taste the Band. This was a tough one because Mark IV isn't really my cup of tea, but Drifter definitely edges out the rest for me. That swagger, Boland's tone, and the way the chorus just soars. But ultimately, it's the groove that makes this my favorite. Mark II reunited in 1984 and released the album Perfect Strangers. Lord's keys, that opening, Ritchie's restrained menace, and the atmosphere. This track is dark and untouchable. And what it eventually grew to on stage was amazing. The House of Blue Light was released in 1987. Now, this may be a weird pick to some fans, but for me, The Unwritten Law is the most structurally interesting and musically adventurous track on the album. The drum sound, that rhythmic concept, and the tension. And I love Blackmore solo on that song. It's the one that I come back to most. Slaves and Masters was released in 1990. Say what you will about the album, the polish, the lack of grit, lack of power, whatever. Truth Hurts works. It's moody, melodic, atmospheric, and Joel Lynn Turner's absolutely in his comfort zone. It's a clear standout. I really love John's piano emphasizing the beat. The Battle Rages On was released in 1993. Anya is the one moment on the album where all the old Mark II magic flickers back to life. The intro alone is worth the price of admission. Blackmore sounds invested, which is half the battle on this record. Again, this has grown into something much bigger on stage. Perpendicular, from 1996, was the first album to feature Steve Morse on guitar. Loosen My Strings is Morse-era perfection. Thoughtful, beautifully arranged, and Gillan's melody, I love that. I remember hearing this when I first put the album on. John had been so low in the mix during the reunion years that I couldn't help but smile at the closing instrumental part. The organ and guitar in perfect balance for the first time since the 70s. Abandon was released in 1998. A reflective, melancholic standout on a dark album that often gets overlooked. Yeah, there's a couple of songs that don't really hold up, but Morse, Lord, and Gillan really nail the emotional center on this one. Fingers to the Bone. Bananas was released in 2003 and was Don Airey's first album. The title track is the sound of Mark VII having fun. Weird, energetic, and catchy. It's got that playful, airy touch that lifts the album into its own little world. The dueling guitar keys section is among the most intense on any Purple record. I love that song. Rapture of the Deep was released in 2005. Currently, my favorite is Kiss Tomorrow, Goodbye. I feel it's criminally underrated. Dark, menacing, riff-heavy, and that Bo Diddley rhythm. And Gillan sounds fantastic. For me, it's the edgiest the band sounded since Fireball. Pure heavy rock goodness. Now What was released in 2013. A tribute to John Lord, Uncommon Man somehow feels both intimate and massive. The improvised build, the emotion, and the fanfare. This is just a phenomenal track. 2017's The surprising is the kind of track that makes you stop what you're doing and just listen. Moody, cinematic, beautifully arranged, it's purple in widescreen. The band were comfortably playing proggy stuff again. That said, One Night in Vegas, for me, is right behind it. Totally different vibe, but so much fun. I love the closing guitar solo over Aries' distorted organ. 2020's Whoosh. Again, so many good songs to pick from, but dark and atmospheric, Step by Step is a slow burn monster. The chorus is haunting. The Baroque middle section over Pace's ridiculously tasteful swing. It's just so good. An Aries solo. My God, Aries solo. I just love it. 2024's Equals One. This album is stacked. Objectively, I know Bleeding Obvious is, well, the obvious choice, but for me, Old Fangled Thing takes it. There's so much about the song that I love. The riff, it sounds like something John and Ritchie would have turned into an extended onstage jam in 1970. Musically, it's so loose that the song feels like a stream of consciousness. I love the folk rock guitar runs that McBride plays through the chords in the bridge. I love the bounce and the confidence. It just hits all the right notes. A perfect blend of modern production and purple charm. The only thing I don't like is the sound of Pacey's hi-hats, but that's a minor quibble. So there you have it. My picks for the best, favorite song on every Deep Purple studio album. You're absolutely going to disagree with some of these, or most of these, and that's the whole point. Let me know your favorites in the comments, especially the controversial ones. And if you want more deep dives, more nerdy album analysis, or questionable opinions delivered confidently, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a great day.